Okay, so we have a book called House of Cats, which isn't actually about cats. It's a story with lots of really nice traditional tales from around Europe. And the first one I'm going to tell you is The Amber Princess, which is a story from Lithuania. Hush, my darling, my precious, my angel, the Storm King crooned to his little daughter, rocking the baby in his arms. Don't cry, Urata. But the rocking was like being tossed on a stormy sea. The sound of his voice was like thunder, and the clouds she was wrapped in were cold and damp. Little Urata went on crying. Deep beneath the Baltic Sea, the Storm King built a palace of amber, shades of red gold, honey gold, and green, glowing softly in the sunlight, filtering down from the world above. As the waves moved back and forth, so patterns of light and shadow rippled across the rocky floor. The baby stopped crying, chuckled, and held out her chubby arms to catch them. There, in the amber palace deep beneath the Baltic Sea, the Storm King left his daughter. The seals cradled her, the whales sang lullabies, the crabs scuttling sideways made her laugh, and the little fishes played with her, in and out of the shifting fronts of seaweed. And so she grew, surrounded by the creatures who care for her. But so the sadness inside her grew too, a sadness that drove her to swim further and further from the safety of the amber palace, seeking she knew not what. On the shore of the Baltic Sea there lived a young fisherman, quite alone. On fine days he sailed out and cast his nets and caught just enough to sell in the market to keep body and soul together. Such was his lonely life, and such as it would be until the day he died, or so it seemed. Then, one day, he hauled up a catch like he'd never seen before. Big as a seal it was, and thrashing and writhing. He hardly had the strength to haul it aboard before they both collapsed exhausted. And he saw it wasn't a seal at all. It was a girl. A girl with red gold hair and sea-green eyes and skin as pale as fine sand, with shadows rippling over it like sunlight through clear water. "Are you a mermaid?" he asked her. "A mermaid?" she laughed, and he thought it was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. "I am Urata, the Storm King's daughter." Then she saw the fish he'd caught lying in the bottom of the boat. "Are you going to eat all of these?" she said in amazement. He shook his head. "Some I'll eat, the rest I'll sell." "Sell? How?" "In the market." "Why?" "So I can buy things." "What things?" "Things I need, like clothes, bread, milk, wood for the fire." "Why do you need these things?" "Doesn't everyone?" "I don't. Explain to me why you need them." But before he was even halfway through explaining how things were in the world above, the sun went down and the moon and the stars were coming out. "I must go," she said. "My people will be worried." "Will I see you again?" "Oh, yes." "How will I know where to find you?" "Don't worry," said Urata. "I have my spies. I will find you." Day after that they met. Day after day they met after that. Sometimes she came to him where he sat on the rocky shore. Sometimes he sailed out across the water and cast his nets, though he had barely caught enough to feed himself before Urata was there and they fell to talking again. What things did they find to talk about? 1,000 things. Things that were everyday and boring to him. Houses and shops, horses and carts, farm animals, flowers in spring and fruit in autumn. But they were all full of wonder for Urata. In return, Urata painted a word picture for him of the amber palace under the sea. "Come with me and I'll show you." He shook his head. "I can't even swim. Never mind breathe under the water. But come with me and I'll show you my world." "I'd die in your world," she said. Too long in the sunlight and I'd wither away. So, in this place between the worlds, they met day after day and they fell in love. But Urarta was not the only one who had her spies. One evening, as the fisherman turned his boat towards home and Urarta swam back to her amber palace, she found her father, the Storm King, waiting. "You can't love a mortal," the Storm King thundered. Urarta defied him. "I can! I do! I forbid it!" he roared. The doors of the amber palace slammed shut and Urarta was a prisoner. Far and wide across the sea, the Storm King went searching for the fisherman who'd tried to steal away his daughter. Long before his little boat had reached the safety of the shore, dark clouds came tumbling across the sky, turning bright day to darkest night. Lashed by the waves from all directions, the little boat was tossed like a cork. The lightning flashed and the thunder crashed. The waves rose higher and higher. The mast was broken, the sail torn to shreds, and the oars borne away on the waters. The fisherman clung for his life to the upturned hull. "Urarta!" he cried as another wave carried him skywards again, the waters drawing so far back from the ocean that in his dying moments he caught a glimpse of the wonderful amber palace before his little boat was smashed to smithereens. Such was the Storm King's rage that before it was done he'd broken the amber palace he'd built for his daughter into 1,000,000 pieces. The wind and the waves and the little fishes carried the fragments north, south, east and west, scattering them all along the Baltic seashore, where they could still be found to this day. And as for Urarta, with the amber palace gone, she was free again, free to roam the seas forever, searching and weeping for her lost, drowned love. So that was a story from Lithuania in the book House of Cats.